right, class. Let's get started.
Business penetrates all of our society to some extent. Advertisements interrupt our music, show up on signs by the side of the road, and enter our homes through our entertainment. Business has become entirely integrated with our daily lives, and most of what we do is centered around money and the products that can be obtained with it. The exchange of money shapes culture. Anthropologist Andrew Orta took on the task of understanding the culture of students within Masters in Business Administration programs, or MBAs for short, and to study effects of these global MBA programs on international business.
Essentially, I've visited various MBA program sites across the United States to gain intel regarding the culture of the MBA program and its relation to globalization.
The emergence of explicit business study as we know it is really a very recent occurrence, although courses were available throughout the 1800s that provided practical business-related skills like bookkeeping and stenography and other things like that. An overall study of business practice as a whole did not emerge until the early 20th century.
In 1916, the Association of Collegiate Schools of Business was founded. This was the first formal professional program for business. It was then accredited by the U.S. Bureau of Education and the National Education Association in 1919.
Between 1970 and 2008, the number of MBAs and other master's level business degrees granted to students increased very significantly, from around 21.5 thousand to 150,000. The number of awarded business degrees reached an all-time high in 2012, when over 191,000 degrees were earned across the US. Business has very quickly become one of the most popular fields of graduate training in the United States, as the number of master's degree level business degrees exceeds the number of master's degrees awarded in either education or in health professions.
As business study is brought across national boundaries, American business practice is brought along with it. This, in turn, leads to companies that see the economic opportunity that this newly established home of capitalist practice to follow closely after MBA organizations, planting themselves in that area and in that culture.
Although there are great benefits that are gained by companies that expand their market globally, there are some major repercussions that are just often completely overlooked. The first of these is the effect that globalization causes on the communities into which the company is entering. This can often be a very obtrusive process as capitalist superpowers dominate a culture, injecting an unwanted Anglo-American ideology into that community.
It is necessary to avoid the result of capitalism that Dwayne Champagne warns us in saying,
Capitalism threatens to envelop the world and transform all of the cultures of the world into capitalist communities.
Transforming cultures into capitalist communities can also lead to economic issues for local businesses. Big business tends to be more convenient and cheaper than local businesses, but this often leads to the downfall of many local businesses.
The second major repercussion is the economic backlash that is experienced by the smaller local business, either within the US or within the country to which the company is expanding, that sell the same products as those that are within an international market. This is due to the fact that consumers are granted access to a worldwide market when a business goes international. This means that any consumer can purchase the cheapest product that they can find to satisfy their needs. Although this is best off for the consumer in the short run, it hurts local businesses significantly and often puts them in a financial crisis from which the only choice of action is often shutting down.
Arjun Appadurai summarized this imbalance between local business efforts and global business efforts in saying,
Thus, the central feature of global culture today is the politics of the mutual effort of sameness and difference to cannibalize one another, and thus to proclaim their successful hijacking of the twin enlightenment ideas of the triumphantly universal and the resiliently particular.
There's essentially a battle between producers, wherein local producers aim to provide goods that will satisfy their community's consumer base. However, these needs can often be very easily provided when one is connected to a global market. This often snuffs out the local business's ability to create goods that pertain to a specific culture and contain characteristics of that culture that still make it unique from the rest of the world. To avoid this overall snuffing out of local unique production, MBA students are encouraged to study and understand the cultures into which their practice is entering, so that all individuality is not destroyed.
Yeah, I've definitely been very shaped by the culture of the MBA program. Everyone here is so unique and different, and we all have these different cultures and backgrounds, and it really encourages us to learn from each other, and we have to learn how to work together really well. The culture of the MBA program is very fast and efficient. We are individual focused, we expect punctuality, but we're also encouraged to ask questions, and we have a lot of respect for each other's personal space.
I remember my first day coming here, we did this exercise about culture where I learned how to play this game, and then halfway through the game I had to switch tables, and apparently they had learned different instructions than I did, and so I switched to this other table, and then I was suddenly playing the game wrong, and they all kept harassing me about it, and I was like, this is just terrible. And so later I found out that this was all part of this experiment to show why cultures are different, and that makes it hard to learn from other people. And then Professor Tim came and talked to us about hold on, I'm getting a text here. Oh yeah, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so Professor Tim taught us that culture is valuable despite all the challenges it brings.
We strive to optimize the difference in the world for economic profit. In doing so, our students learn to break cultural patterns down and compartmentalize them. Diversity is a resource. Differences mark unique skills, but we encounter barriers of ignorance and convenience in managing diversity. Ignorance in the form of negative stereotypes, convenience because it is easier to work with people who are similar to us. Globalization is built on utilizing diversity. We train students to manage businesses that bring services to other cultures. Those cultures are then shaped by the exchange of resources, and at the same time, the business bringing those services is shaped by the surrounding culture. All of this fits into a world capitalist economic system, including production and consumption, that, as Heyman and Campbell say, makes and remakes regions and nations in a systematic, not patternless way. After studying and noting these effects of making MBAs global, we see that it is important to be cautious and considerate of the impact that MBA programs have on the communities into which they enter.
Business will continue to shape culture as culture shapes business. The goal of the MBA students should not be to just make a profit, but to pay careful attention to what their actions will mean for both local and global economies. They must be willing to not only impart their economic knowledge on others, but also must be willing to actively listen to the local preferences and traditions of their host culture, hoping to find a balance in which both parties can work efficiently and respectfully.
Hey guys, we hope you all were able to learn something from our kind of wacky video. We had a lot of fun making it, and we hope that you guys might have had some fun watching it as well.
I hope you've learned something about how business shapes culture and culture shapes business.
All right, see you guys. Have a great summer.
Bye.
Woo!